Hey, Mindy.
Hey, Charlie.
Did you see that just pop up there?
What, live? Yes.
We're live. Yeah. How are you? I think I got chocolate from it. I'm eating a chocolate croissant. It's
Oh, God.
probably not good for my lunch, but gets me
I'm
in chocolate.
fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Today, Mindy, what are we talking about today?
Company pages and the importance on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So it used to be I didn't put a whole lot of stock in our company page. Like we didn't make really any effort to grow that company page. We posted very little content to it for years and years. That's a couple of years ago, I think. Do you know where we're at right now? And maybe there we go. Do you know where we're at right now as far as company followers?
I think we have 934.
You're exactly right. I think we have 934. You are watching that number more closely than I am.
I
am. So I checked it out today and was like, dang, all right, 934 followers. That's awesome. So that's a credit to the work that you're doing and everybody on your team internally. That's really an important number.
It is. And one of the cool features, which we'll get into here in a little bit about LinkedIn, is you can actually put your competitors up there. So you can actually see where you're ranking, as far as followers and, growing that audience.
Yeah. So very cool. Do we want to jump into a screen share right now?
Yeah, we can. Sure.
Let's do that. And I'll let you share yours because frankly, for everybody listening, and these are the brains behind this operation. That's not scary. That shouldn't be scary to anybody.
It's not scary. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Perfect. So this is a LinkedIn company page. Now this is the view as an admin. Typically, when you go and view company profiles on LinkedIn, this is actually what it would look like. This is just viewing as a member so that you can kind of see our pictures, our posts, it talks about the company, gives a little about section. I'm going to go back to admin mode though, because I'd really like to show everyone the behind the scenes look as why it's so important.
Yeah, the analytics is amazing.
They really are. And they're improving consistently across the board with LinkedIn. They've really kind of come leaps and bounds in the last year, I'd say, for a company page and a company profile. And it's important because not only can you grow your audience on your personal LinkedIn page, but it also kind of, coincides with your company profile to kind of tell about the culture of the company. I mean, people buy from people they like, they trust, and they have commonalities with. So that company profile is very, very important just to kind of, drive that home. But the analytics, this is what I was actually going to talk about, where you have your competitors. So I've just kind of put a few up here, obviously, FMG and White Glove. Those are big names in the industry, Snappy, Kraken. We just started doing our company page, I'd say probably, about a year ago?
Yeah, and we probably at that time, maybe we had 100, 150 followers.
Yeah, I mean, if that. So, some of these big names that are on here, but it kind of shows you kind of where your rankings are. It'll show you any new followers for the last month, things along those lines. So you can just see the progression of the improvement. Yeah. And of course, this is only for the last 30 days. But another really cool feature is the leads gen form.
Yeah, so, this is fun. And this works. And this works. So much of our communication happens on LinkedIn now that this becomes a natural landing spot for people who want to communicate.
Right. And
in general.
Yeah. And through here, I mean, we only have one, obviously currently I just did this as a little demo, but you can actually download this information straight from the LinkedIn profile. It'll print out like a little CSV for you. And then you can open it and it'll give the information for the person, that's obviously looking to receive further communication from you. You have their job title, when it was submitted, names, and email addresses.
We're still only seeing the lead analytics page.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's see here. Of course. Client call.
Hey, we're live.
Client call. Let me see. How would I share that?
And that's okay. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say, but
you got name, email address, all the contact information that comes right out.
Correct. Yes, all their contact information comes through. So that's really important. You can actually take a look at your followers. It'll actually even break it down by location. You can do it by industry, just to make sure that your obviously targeting is on for the audience you're trying to grow. Of course, ours is, because we're going after financial services industry. You can see what their job function is, things like that. So the analytics on it have really improved significantly.
Well, and I would say that that's one of the places where I love where LinkedIn has gone in the last, say, 12 to 18 months is analytics behind company followers. Of course, Navigator's great analytics, but this is all free.
Right.
So analytics behind company followers, analytics behind content engagement and exposure.
Correct.
LinkedIn's done a great job
now. Yeah. This is quite impressive. We can actually take a look and see, what your engagement rate is as far as posts. It'll tell you even what posts are. So you can click these links and it'll take you right to the posts.
Yeah.
So it's really truly improved over the years. And like I said, it's something that we utilize currently for LinkedIn events. This is the most important, an impressive thing. And this is also growing as well. Yeah. So I'm going to show you one of our last events. I hope everybody can still see my screen here. So this is an event that we did back on October 11th, but this is why the company page is so important, because not only can you get people, promote your webinars, your in-person events, just live events, whatever you choose, but you can also, if you do it from a company profile, you can actually see who says that they're attending your event. And then you can download your registration details so that you have that information, and it'll give you, a plethora of information. You have first name, last name, email address, which is so important for that follow-up for events. And you can actually download it as a CSV file, possibly put it into your CRM, send further communication, keep nurturing this audience. And it also helps with conversion, which is where
let's pause.
Really go through that. Yes.
Yeah, let's pause there because I want to talk about philosophically the use of LinkedIn. Right. And also before we wrap up, I want to talk about the difference between promoting events through personal or through company pages, because there's a significant difference there. But let's start philosophically, right? So not too many years ago, LinkedIn was, let's call it the Wild West, right?
Yeah.
You could literally send 150 invites to people a day.
Oh yeah. And you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah. It didn't matter how spammy or salesy your messaging was. If you can send 150 invites a day and get yourself 25 new connections or 30 new connections every day, a small percentage of those people who respond to any kind of spammy message in their inbox is going to be a good result. You could be talking to 3, 4, 5 new people every single week because of just that economy of scale and the numbers game, so to speak, right? LinkedIn changed the game quite a bit. So now they've put a cap on the number of invites that go out in a given period of time, typically a week, right? And so you'll reach a limit of invites. And so those invites are more and more important. Your targeting's got to be better and better.
Yes.
You also have to focus on relationship instead of sales. Now, I know we all still get it. I get 3, 4, 5, 10 of them a day of people connecting with me, and then immediately, and this is how I know there's automation running, right? Immediately, I get a pitch, and usually it's 3 paragraphs long, and holy crap, right? So it's a turnoff, and so LinkedIn recognized that. To their credit, LinkedIn recognized that, 2 years ago when they started to change the rules of engagement, and thank God they did, because it really was turning into a spam platform, and I can only imagine they were losing users, at least consistent users at the time. So this creates an environment where you've really got to focus on relationship and rapport. You can't just be a spammy salesperson and reap the benefits of that anymore. Now, when you do that, right, if you're connecting with, if you're sending out 25 invites a day and you're connecting with 7 people every day or whatever that number is as a result of the invites, content marketing becomes a really, really important piece of growing your brand, growing your influence, growing your rapport, growing your relationships. But what you need is a tool to tell you who in that network is ready for a deeper conversation. Right. So my network's 8,700 people or something like that at this point. Right. Now, I'm talking to a lot of those people at once when I push content out there. I've got content that might get viewed by 2,500, 3,000 people. A lot of my connections in financial services see that content. They're nurtured every time. But it's not until I run an event that I actually find out
Right.
who's engaged and who's ready for follow-up, right? So when you promote an event, if you've got a really badass CRM platform that's helping to lead score and tracking your media and all this stuff, if you don't, we've got one. But if you don't have that, or it's cost prohibitive to implement a big piece of technology like that, your webinar event or a seminar event is the absolute best thing you can do to measure your network.
Yes.
If you send out 1,000 invites to your webinar and 50 people register and 28 people show up, those 28 people are there for a reason, right? You've done your job in connecting with them, building rapport, building some credibility around your brand. Perhaps you've had conversations and built relationships there. But it's by hosting that event that you know who is directly ready for follow-up. So
and not to interrupt, Charlie, but I'm going to just for a second because I've actually kind of coined it lately. I'm calling it your LinkedIn lead scoring. Because it really is. If you can't afford that CRM, don't get me wrong, there's many options out there. There's Constant Contact, you got MailChimp, just as supplemental until you can get to that big technology. But LinkedIn is so important with LinkedIn events and that company profile because it really truly is your LinkedIn lead scoring.
Yeah.
That's what it gives you, those people who are ready to talk, they're showing interest, and what I like to call hot. They're engaged. Yep. So just to agree with what you're saying, but LinkedIn lead score is what I'm calling it.
Yeah, I love it. Is that domain name registered yet? Let's go.
No, but I think I'm in market.
I'm just kidding. Maura had a comment that she got kicked back at the beginning of the video. Maura, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. But stick with us and watch it all the way through. It's not going to be a real long live broadcast today because while the information is really, really important, there's not a ton of it to cover.
No.
But it'll
be on our YouTube channel too, Maura, that you can watch.
I do want to cover the difference, Mindy, between promoting through a personal page, which is really extremely manual.
Big difference.
Right. And promoting through the company page. So one of the big differences is your company page linked to your website actually contains your privacy policy.
Yes.
Right. Your personal page does not. So as a result of that, LinkedIn on your company page, because of that privacy policy, is able to share the data of the users because, of course, your privacy policy is your promise not to abuse that data.
Right.
On your single profile page, you can promote an event through that, but you can't download the CSV of people who said they want to attend. And that's a really big thing, right? So if you got, I can show my screen real quick because I pulled this up before I think, let me make sure that it's there, but
yeah, because the biggest thing is that with that company page, that is actually what gives you the opportunity to have a form and they can opt in by clicking a little button to be able to receive further communication. So that follows your GDPR laws or GPDR laws. I get confused, but yes. And it does so that you can actually put them into your CRM, even if you follow up after the webinar with maybe a recording or a personal little invite or message, asking any questions, you can also send them your newsletter each month. You can send them, maybe you're doing another webinar in a couple months and you can send it from your CRM as opposed to sending it through LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, for sure. Give me one sec here. There we go. They buried that share screen on me.
Gotta love an update.
Yeah, I know, right? So I just want to pull up, I grabbed a screenshot of the, of what we did with Judd, right?
Yeah.
And you can see on here, now this went through a personal page.
Mm-hmm.
So just by a result of who Judd's broker dealer is, we couldn't do it through a company page.
Right.
122 people. Now this particular advisor, and I can stop sharing. That particular advisor serves a very, very niche industry near his headquarters, right? Near where he's located. So he serves really people from 3 companies. I'll tell you who it is. Judd doesn't care. Judd lives outside of Detroit, so he serves the automotive industry.
Yep.
Got 122 people signed up for that event, which was focused directly on helping automotive executives with retirement planning.
Yep.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now I don't know how many people showed up, but typically about a third, right? You do
I think it was a little over 50 or something. Which is significant. It's pretty equivalent to ours. Yeah.
Yeah, we find that when we do the promotion through LinkedIn, about a third will attend.
Yeah. Most of them sign up because they're looking for, I mean, we're all human. They're interested in the product or what you're talking about, but 9 times out of 10, they want to watch it at their own leisure. So that's another reason why that recording is kind of so important. I know not all advisors are allowed to do that, but at the same time, follow-up is key. That's why the follow-up is so important.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I agree. So, Mindy, before we exit this thing, why don't we give a little tutorial on how you would set up an event on the company page?
Should I give away all my secrets?
Well, okay, maybe.
I'm just kidding. I was going to say, I'd rather them say, "Hey, Mindy, can you do this?"
Here's what we find out, right? So we do it, and we for our clients, this is a $400 promote. When we promote an event, it's $400 expenditure. When it's a non-client who comes to us just for the webinar promotion, it's $500. So our clients get a little benefit there. And what we find out is when someone says, "I'll do it on my own," it's not quite as good as when we do it.
It's definitely an art form that we've kind of perfected over the last year. So, we had a lot of trial and error as well, but I'll share my screen here and I can kind of give you a little walkthrough. So let me go to Social Advisors. And let me pretend like I'm going to create a new event. So again, this is my admin view. I just kind of scroll down a little bit on the right-hand side. You have events. So you just click your little plus sign. And then everything you need would be right here in the middle. So you can upload a cover image. We're just going to use this one for now because I'm actually doing one for Mr. Brian George. I'm sure he'll be
Brian. Right.
So we actually make the custom invite and event for you. Again, that's included in your cost. So I made this little webinar image. Click apply. Then you can go down and you have just different options. You can either do an online event or you can do an in-person event. Typically, I do online. You select your event format, either LinkedIn Live, which is what we're doing currently right now. You do have to have a third-party tool for that, so keep that in mind. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to do your external event link. You'll give it a name. Let's just pretend this is the name. You can change your time zone, your date, the start time, and finish time of the event. And then right here is where you would put your registration link. So we use Zoom. You can use Webinar Jam. You can use WebEx. I mean, it just depends on what your platform choice is. This is the most important part of creating a LinkedIn event. Right here where it says use a LinkedIn registration form. Always select yes and put your privacy policy link in there. By doing that, that gives you the opportunity to have your registrants opt in to receive further communication, and that's where you get that download. If you do not do that, you will not get that download, even if you promote it from your company profile. Yeah. You'll put a small description in here. We'll just paste whatever my last little thing is. And then your speakers. So it's really important to typically have a guest speaker because then you get access to 2 different networks. Yeah. So let's just say, Charles Van Durbin and let's say Mindy, that both of us are going to be speakers. You hit the next button and then you have to make a post. Now, in order for this event to actually be created and live, you have to hit the post button. If you do not, it will not create the event and you'll have to start all over. Now, I'm not going to do this one now just because, but it's simple. I
want to compare this. I know a lot of advisors who market seminars and webinars via advertising right on Facebook or Google. And listen, I think that's a viable option as well. We've done a lot of that over the years. Now, here's what we found, right? If you're running ads on Google to get registrations, the metric that we often track is what is your cost per attendee or your cost per registration, right? And a lot of times that's in that $5, $6 range, depending on where your ad's placed and your targeting and everything else.
Right.
So for every email address, you're likely paying $5.
$5 to $6, yeah.
$5 to $6 for the ad cost, right? Whereas I just showed you Judd. We just looked at the most recent event that we did with Coach Joe. You got $1,000 in Judd's case. You have $700 worth of value just in those email addresses that came through. Then now you've got the opportunity to continue, so long as they accept it. You don't want to spam people, but now you've got the opportunity to continue to nurture that relationship. So again, if you're running ads for this stuff, you're you're spending $5 or $6 just to get a registration. If a third of people are attending, you're spending $15, $18 to get an attendee. So you can send, what are we sending out? About 1,000 invites?
It's 1,000 a week that LinkedIn allows
That's
per event. And if that's why it's also important to usually have a guest speaker, because that's per speaker on the event. So, if you have 2 people, then you'll get 2,000 from each profile.
Yeah. And of course, I'm a big fan of I'm drawing a blank on his name right now for some reason. Chuck Poland, I think so. OPN, Other People's Network, right? So when you have a guest that influences the same audience that you influence, you're bringing their brand and their value, and they're bringing your brand and your value. So you're helping each other out get greater exposure for your brand and value you're bringing to your audience. So anyway, LinkedIn company page, again, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we did not put a lot of stock in ours.
No, we were just kind of testing and playing around. But I'm glad we did. And I'm glad we stuck with it because, just look at RIA Collective now, that one we created. You can have multiple company profiles. I know that there's a lot of advisors out there that have, multiple jobs, multiple companies, multiple RIA firms.
Well, and then you can have sub pages too, right? Post Party's got underneath social advisors, right?
Yeah, so it's a showcase page. Yeah.
So, listen, so if you're not paying attention to your company page on LinkedIn, you should be.
You should be.
If you're not sharing content from your company page on LinkedIn, you should be.
Yeah.
The analytics aren't lying, right? So in the last year, we've added maybe 900 followers to ours in the last maybe 8 to 12 months. You can see on the metrics on there, there are our ideal prospects, right? People we want to work with, the people that we serve, and the analytics behind the people that are responding to content is great too. So,
yeah, and even the invites for company follows, you get 250 a month. Yeah. So, and that's per admin.
November 1st. It's November 1st. I get to go invite 250 more people.
Right. Right. Well, we automate yours, so don't touch anything.
Don't use the word automate. I won't touch anything. I'll do it for RIA Collective.
There you go.
All right. What else, Mindy?
I think that's about it.
All right. That's it. So unfortunately, because we're running through a third-party platform so we can stream to different locations, I can see comments coming in from LinkedIn, but we can't see comments coming in from anywhere else. So if we didn't answer your comment, by all means, just send us a direct message and we'll get back to that afterwards. And thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Until next Tuesday.
If you need help with a webinar, we're your people.
That's right. Give me a call.
Give me a call. You got it. Thanks, Mindy.
You're welcome.
Later.